We thought it would be helpful if we showed you a competency evaluation or assessment, or at least a short snippet of one. They generally take a lot longer than we want to show you. So we're going to pick up with this one in process. Now, by the time this starts, the evaluator will already have gone over with the defendant his or her rights in the context of the evaluation. We'll have reviewed many separate or collateral resources of information. We'll have taken a social history, and so what you'll be seeing is the competency assessment portion of a much larger evaluation.
So, Mr. Barnes, what are you charged with?
Harassment, trespassing, and stalking.
Okay. And what did the police say you did that led to those charges?
Well, I don't know why they said it, but they, that I was going after a girl and jumping a fence, trying to get her attention, but I wasn't. She was trying to get my attention, which she knows that, and the cops should know that. Everyone, it was just, I think, the wrong situation going on here.
Okay. So tell me what led to the stalking charge. What did they actually say that you did, that you were stalking her?
Well, apparently they said that I was around her too much when she was not wanting me to be, and when she was actually calling my attention. Didn't make any sense to me.
Okay. Okay, and criminal trespassing?
Jumping her fence.
Okay.
Of course, she's flashing her lights on and off. Of course, she's kind of signaling to me, know.
Are these charges serious? Or not so serious?
I guess they could be worse, but yeah, they're serious.
Who is your attorney?
His name is Russell.
Okay. And have you met with Russell already?
Yeah.
How many times have you met with him?
Not too often, actually. Just recently. Probably, I'd say about maybe 3 or 4 times.
Okay. And what is your attorney supposed to do for you?
He's supposed to help me.
Okay. And how would he help you?
By helping me prove that I'm not guilty.
Okay. And what do you need to do when you're with your attorney?
You tell him everything that is done, not done. Go over the whole entire situation with him.
Okay. And have you talked with him about possible defenses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me what those defenses are, but you feel comfortable with him being able to develop a defense and you working with him towards one?
Yeah, I could say I do. Yeah, enough.
Okay. What can you tell me about the prosecutor? Who's the prosecutor in this case?
He's the one trying to get me in trouble for things that I don't believe that I've done.
Okay.
That are that wrong,
Okay. So what is the prosecutor supposed to do in the courtroom?
He's going to be arguing against me.
Okay.
He's going to be trying to get me in trouble, trying to say, that I was stalking this woman, that she wasn't flashing her lights on and off, and that, he's just going to be the not good one for me.
And how is he going to do that? How would the prosecutor say you did these things?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Would he put people on the stand to say you did things, or how would he prove that you did these things, or how's he going to try to prove that you did these things?
Yeah, he's going to call up people, I guess witnesses against me to try to prove that I am the bad one in this situation, that I am the one who did these. So he's going to be calling up witnesses. Yeah, that's about it.
And then what would your attorney do? What's your attorney supposed to do?
He's going to speak to the judge, I guess, and say the things that I've told him, why I'm innocent and why they're not being right and not being fair to me. You know?
Would your attorney question the witnesses?
Yeah, I hope that he does.
Okay. So after the prosecutor puts on witnesses, your attorney would ask the witnesses questions as well?
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
Okay. What if you're sitting there and you hear a witness say something that's not true? What would you do?
I would be happy.
Okay.
I would definitely try to stand up and say something. I would say that, you know, they're not right. And I would try to get my attorney, like you said, and get him down and saying that he's not being right. He's not being fair in my case.
Can you stand up and say something's not right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, you can't. As a defendant, you can't just stand up in the courtroom. But what could you do? You could talk to your defense attorney.
Yeah.
Could write your defense attorney a note about what you think is not true.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then your defense attorney would do what?
Then he would be able to tell the whole entire courtroom that he's not telling people what he should be told.
And what's the judge's role in the courtroom when all this is going on? What does the judge do?
He's going to be the all-out guy saying who's right, who's wrong.
Okay. So, judge's role sort of is to maintain a fair courtroom, make sure each attorney plays by the rules.
Yeah.
That you have a fair trial.
Yeah.
Sort of like the patrolman in the room, making sure everything's going according to rules.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I haven't met the judge yet, so I'm hoping.
Okay. Do you know if your case is going to be a jury trial?
I believe it is. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So what is a jury?
Juries are people watching the whole trial going on.
Okay. And who are they? Who are they? I mean, how do you get a jury?
Well, they're called to come and witness the whole entire trial going about.
Okay. Where do they come from?
The streets.
Okay. So they're people in your community that are asked to sit on a jury.
Yeah.
Okay. And they listen to the whole trial.
They do.
And then what do they do? What's their role?
Their role is to, I guess, help the judge into thinking one hand or the other which way if I'm guilty, not guilty, by watching somehow, I believe.
Okay, so the jury watches the trial,
Mm-hmm.
and then generally they go in a room by themselves, and
That's
they
right, yeah. Okay.
and they talk about what happened, and then they have to be certain beyond a reasonable doubt that you did it in order to say that you're guilty. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, now that you say that. Yeah.
Okay. Because you had I thought I saw you had a charge when you were younger. Did you sit in a trial when you were younger?
That was when I was really young, way back when.
Okay.
Nothing to do with anything.
So you don't remember how the whole process works?
A little bit on the edge, a little bit hazy about it, but once I get going with it, I think I'm going to understand it.
Okay. The first thing you'll have to do, though, is enter a plea, which is whether you say what are the two pleas you can enter?
Guilty or not guilty.
Okay. And if you say you're guilty, what happens?
Means I'm going to jail.
Okay. Means you'll get sentenced and most likely will go to jail, and there'll be no trial, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not guilty.
Okay, so you're going to enter not guilty, right?
Yeah.
And then then a jury will happen.
Right.
Is there any other pleas that your attorneys talk to you about?
I think they said something about an insanity plea.
Do you know what that is?
He told me it's something where instead of going to jail, I'll be going to the insane asylum, I think it is.
To maybe a state psychiatric hospital?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay. So, with an insanity plea, what does that mean? It means you're saying... Do you know what it means you're saying?
Somewhat.
Okay. Insanity plea means you're saying, I did do this. I am guilty of these things. But my mental state at that point in time was impaired, so I can't be responsible for them. So you don't go to prison, you go to a state psychiatric hospital, okay? But it is saying I did do these things, but I'm not responsible for them because I wasn't in my right mind at that point in time. I didn't know the difference between right and wrong. Has your lawyer really talked to you about that?
Not too much, no.
Okay. If you're found guilty of this crime, what do you think the likelihood is? Or what do you think will happen?
Let's say I'm probably going to be sentenced to go to prison for a little while.
What's a little while?
Maybe a couple months.
A couple months?
I think, yeah.
Okay. It looks like with those charges, we're probably talking, your lawyer hasn't talked to you that it might be several years?
There's just no way with things that I've done. I don't believe that it can be that long.
But are those felony charges or misdemeanor charges?
It said felony.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are 3 felony charges.
Yeah.
Okay. And I thought your attorney had said it could be something like 3 or 4 years. So you're not aware of that?
He said something, but I just can't believe that, you know.
Okay. And so you're not clear on what a plea bargain could be?
I think he did say something about where it lessens your time that you spend in jail.
Okay. So a plea bargain is what?
Is time taken off your sentence by pleading your case. I'm pretty sure he was saying something on those lines.
Yeah, a plea bargain is you would say you're guilty, and if you say you're guilty, the prosecution and defense have come to a deal that if you say you're guilty, they'll agree on this amount of sentence, and generally that sentence is less than what you could possibly get at the end of a trial. Sort of like you're guaranteed this, whereas at trial you may get off, but you may get a really long sentence. When you do a plea bargain, you're admitting that you're guilty, so you're saying that you did it, but in return for that, you know generally you're not going to get the maximum sentence, you're going to get something less.
Okay.
But you hadn't really talked to your attorney very much about that option, it sounds like.
No, I just heard bits and pieces of him saying stuff. I don't...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds like to me that what I think would be good is for you to talk to your attorney a little bit more, and then for me to come back and talk to you again. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
The evaluator had to do some educating. She was giving some information about the procedures. One of the difficulties that sometimes arises for an evaluator is that they will ask questions about the procedures, and sometimes the attorney hasn't talked to their client about it, so naturally the person is not going to be able to understand the proceedings if they've never been explained. You saw that very clearly when the evaluator indicated to the defendant that she was going to have to interview him a second time. The same can hold true for a judge when holding a hearing. If the issue happens to be inability to understand the nature of the proceedings, you need to ask whether the person's talked to their attorney and find out whether there may be other reasons that they are unable to understand the proceedings. The bottom line we hope you take from this particular video is that there's more to an evaluation than an interview between the evaluator and the defendant. There's preparation time in advance, Sometimes what occurs during the evaluation has to be followed up on. So when you are looking as a judge at an evaluation, understand that there has been a great deal of work that you don't see necessarily in what's written or how the evaluator describes in terms of a meeting with the defendant.